you keep losing with the same deck and you really want to win with it. You're not sure what to change. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make updates to your deck in order to win more matches. And then we'll even play a match with it to see if it does help me win a match. It's just by chance that I probably will win the match, but we're going to be playing in rank match right after we do the edit. So first we're going to go into edit. And if you saw the last video, you did notice that the Cemetery Gatekeeper is one of the cards that was not as useful as it could have been in the last matchup. The reason for that is the card is not always playable on turn 2. And those are things you have to consider when you're making a deck. Is the card always playable on the turn that it should be played? You have to think about, is your deck more of a control deck where it's slower, slow paced strategy? Is there something specific that you need to be doing on that turn instead of playing this card? So for me, the Cemetery Gatekeeper is not a guaranteed play this on 2 card. So I want to swap this out for something that's more useful, even though the Cemetery Gatekeeper is a really good card. So I had already done some research on what I wanted to add in here, but what you would do is usually just find something, preferably the same mana value, because you do want your curve here to stay pretty much the same if you're okay with how your curve is set up. This one is very mid-range to high-powered here, as you can see. I like to build my curve specific ways sometimes depending on the strategy. And this is a control deck, so I need slower cards, things that can control the field and the board a lot more. So we're going to get rid of Cemetery Gatekeeper even though it does control the board. And I already know for a fact I do want to replace it with a red card that does something a little bit different, that adds a little bit of a dimension to my deck. So there is a chance that I could put in more lightning strikes, just fill that space up. But however, then that will still give me the same problem, is then I don't know that I can always play a lightning strike on turn 2. Technically I could if I wanted to just burn for their life, but I really don't want to burn for their life all the time in this deck. So that's all about you understanding what you want to do with the deck. I like to have the flexibility of lightning strike being able to end the game or get a creature out of the way. But for this, I want something that's going to add versatility to my deck. That is very important, that sometimes you don't need to have 4 of every single card. Maybe you just need like one card, one of a certain card just to add a certain effect that you do like. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to put in the Tempered in Solitude. And this is because when a creature I control attacks along, I get to exile the top card of my library and play it that turn. So why is this useful in my deck? The reason why I chose this is because I factored in most of the times I'm only going to have one creature on the field at a time anyway. And usually by the time I have that one creature on the field, I do need to find out what I'm going to play for the next turn. So exiling that top card while attacking is going to be very helpful for me. And so, like for instance, most of my creatures are at the top part of my curve in the deck. So these are 6 drops here. So they're going to probably be on the field by themselves by the time I attack with them. Even the Atushi, for instance, this is a 4-drop. This is the quickest turn that I could even play a creature. So by turn 5, I would be attacking. If this dies, there's really no downside to it unless it's exiled. So this is perfect, because you can play Tempered in Solitude, have your slow turn 2. That's fine. You have plenty of control for your turn 3s. You do want to think about how your turns should play out and flow. So I have stuff to give me some defense on turn 3. So if I do have to slow turn 2. And we're going to see how this works now, because this is actually something that goes with the deck. The deck has a slower start in the beginning. This is a card that is slower. It does not do anything like an immediate effect as soon as you play it. Those are things you have to consider. Does the deck have immediate, does this card that I'm adding have an immediate effect as soon as it is played, or is it okay if it doesn't? Is it more of a combo card that I need to wait until I get some other pieces to see if it actually works out? And so now we're going to see if we get this actually in a match. There's only 2. So we're going to continue ranked here and see if this card could possibly be a make or break card. And also, while we're playing through the match, I'll explain some more psychologies that I use to understand whether or not I need to make other changes in my deck. However, this deck does seem super solid. I doubt that I would really want to make any changes to this one, but I will still explain how you can find the gaps in your deck building strategies based on the matchups that you run into, because that is an important thing. Sometimes you're just going to lose against certain matchups. You may lose against certain colors. And I advise you to like find an app that will help you. I think it's called untap.gg, that will help you with your stats and learning what cards or what decks that you're more likely to lose to. You can save a lot of data this way. Well, you can gain a lot of data this way, knowing how good your deck's actually performing based on statistics and what are some of the great decks. Help you understand some of the best cards out there right now. And yeah, this guy, he's really trying to rush me down. Good thing I do have some early game removal, so this is working out so far. Maybe we can just keep removing until he runs out of steam. These are all reds too, so yeah, he's just going to be rushing down, rushing down. I do not want to get rid of the big. Okay, well now I do want to get rid of the big spender now because he's sticky fingering it. But let's go ahead and put the Atushi down first. We're just going to let him build mana on that one, just because. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and let him build mana because. Oops, I messed that up, so I have to do this. Unfortunately, I was supposed to play the red land. But what you want to do is, as you're playing, you have to calculate and evaluate each card and say which card is not being useful in my hand and which card will probably never be a factor in the match that I'm currently playing. In this matchup, it currently seems like all my cards will be useful, so therefore I don't really have to consider taking out many of the cards in from my deck based on this matchup so far. But that is something you're always thinking about. If you have a card that's just stuck in your hand from the beginning of the game all the way until the end of the game, chances are that card is either one, bad in that matchup, or two, that card is just bad in your deck in general. It does not help you with your winning strategy, or it does not help you win more. If you're losing, the card does not help. So why do you want it in your deck? Some cards you cannot force to fit in your deck if they do not help you advance to the winning strategy. It may be like a cool one of type thing if you get it off, but sometimes you have to consider some other things when it comes to what cards you're really going to put into your deck. Now, this is crazy. I'm thinking I'm just going to go for the block here because I actually need to exile some cards because all I'm drawing is land. So I'm just going to hope that he's going to play a bunch of creatures. He's going to get the valet. Okay, so is he going to... That's not exiling my creature, which is perfect. I get the Temporal Storm, which is good. So we're going to go ahead and just wipe the board on the next turn. And he's playing Burn Down the House. So he's getting a lot of attack here, which is, of course, that's the way this deck is supposed to play. All right, so he's doing good. I'm going to gain 1 life, and I'm going to need it because I'm probably just going to die anyway. Let's see if we can mitigate some damage. So since that's exiled, let's go ahead and do that and try to mitigate at least 1 damage. And then we'll go ahead and burn. And yep, I'll take 2 damage here. And now it just depends on if does he really have the haste creature in hand to just finish me off. So with this game, this is a perfect example. There are some games you play, they're just going to be matchup based. As you can see, there was nothing wrong with the cards that I drew in this game. And especially since a lot of the cards that were stuck in my hand at the end while I lost were lands. So that's important. Think about the cards that were stuck in your hand while you lost and say, could these cards be replaced for anything different? So like if those were not lands, I would say, oh, was there something else I could have used to get rid of 1/1s a lot easier without taking damage? Or was there something that I could have used as like a life link that could have stuck in front of these cards to help me out? That's how you want to think of it. Anyway, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see more videos like this. Comment down below if you need some help with your deck, and I'll be glad to help you out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.